Good morning. Welcome to NewsWare's Trade Talk for Monday, April 20th. Okay, let's get into the action. Take a look at the S&Ps, which are trading lower by 0.44%. We were down, 0.5%. Now we're down, 0.42, 0.43. So it's, not as weak as it was earlier this morning. And the real reason for the weakness is, escalation of tensions in the Middle East, because the U.S. seized an Iranian cargo vessel which was headed to China, which prompted a response from Iran. Iran came out and said, they're going to close the Strait of Hormuz and signaled that it's not going to participate in tomorrow's peace talks. This is what Iran does. It's negotiating. It's not really, saying they're saying they're not going to participate, but they might, still be open for talks, but they don't want to be there. It's really more of a negotiation than anything else. I continue to believe that we're on a de-escalation of hostilities in the Middle East. But right now the market's moving on headlines, and the headlines are negative. Separately, we're seeing, Japan got hit with a 7.5 magnitude earthquake off the northern coast of Japan. Wow, that's a big one. They're issuing tsunami warnings. Sector-wise, as you would expect, you're seeing, energy stocks moving higher. Due to the rise in oil prices, while industrial and consumer names are under pressure on the economic calendar today. It's rather quiet. Attention's really is on tomorrow's retail sales report and the scheduled start of those hearings for Fed chair nomination of Kevin Walsh. We'll have to see, that tomorrow, but there'll be more news on that throughout the day, I'm sure. In corporate news, American Airlines pushed back against that merger speculation that came out of United Airlines CEO. Space Mobile said a satellite that was incorrectly placed into orbit by Blue Origin. Not good. QXO, they're acquiring Top Build, ticker BLD, for about $17 billion. On the earnings front, we're seeing some gains in CLF, while Bank of Hawaii is moving lower after their earnings releases. After the bell today, we got Alaskan Airlines and Steel Dynamics, ALK and STLD. They're going to be reported. And then looking ahead to tomorrow, it's a busy lineup. We got GE, we got UNH, we got RTX, we got Northrop Grumman, we got 3M, we got Halliburton, Quest Diagnostics, and others scheduled to report. Okay, let's move on. Let's take a look at what we see going on in Europe this morning. And Europe is moving lower. We are seeing weakness in Europe across the board. The DAX is down 1.3% or 322 points with weakness in travel, industrial, and tech stocks. The FTSE is lower by 69 points or 0.66%. Strength in energy, yes, but declines in bank and travel stocks. The FTSE, the CAC in Paris is down 90 points. That's 1.07% due to underperformance in financials and luxury stocks. Then you turn over to look at Asia overnight, and it was higher. The Nikkei jumped 0.6%. It's really due to, corporate earnings came in positive, and, continued enthusiasm over AI-related stocks and, supportive currency environment. That's what's really helping the Nikkei push higher. Then you have Hong Kong, the Hang Seng, which rose 200 points or 0.77% with advances in, banks and tech stocks. Shanghai in China, was higher by 0.76%. With the financials driving those gains. The PBOC maintained its policy rate, which is supportive of markets. So, that's creating economic stability, and that's why you saw some gains in Hong Kong and Shanghai overnight. Now we're turning our attention over to oil, and oil is, trading higher. You got both contracts up over 5%. WTI is trading $88.51, while Brent is trading $94.69. They're both up about 5%. And, it really comes down to, the action going on in the Middle East. As I said, the U.S. seized an oil tanker from Iran. And, after that, Iran said that they're unlikely to resume the peace talks. Again, I feel this is more posturing by Iran. Iran does this. They're surrounded, where they're located geographically, they don't really have many allies in the countries surrounding them. So they always talk tough, and they always, talk about how they're going to annihilate everyone. But the truth is, they're not as strong as they might, portray in the media with their aggressive rhetoric. So, the fact is that they will come to the table. Peace talks will be, discussed whether Iran is there in person or not. But I do expect, some developments to occur tomorrow when those peace talks are scheduled to start. Okay, now we're moving over to the earnings front. So we're going to start off with Bank of Hawaii, ticker BOH. These guys missed, they missed by 4 cents. If you look at the stock, it's down 2.61% this morning. On the other hand, you have CLF, Charlie, Larry, Frank, which, these guys, it was trading higher. It's now lower. It's now down 1.41%. They did deliver a beat of 2 cents on higher revenue. It wasn't a stellar report from what I saw, but CLF trading lower by 1.41% after moving higher initially when the earnings came out. Upcoming tomorrow morning, you got GE coming out, GE Aerospace, ticker GE, Grace Edward. The EPS is $1.63. Expected move is 5.51%. You got UNH, United Healthcare, EPS is $6.48. Expected move is 6.07%. Then you got 3M, Minnesota Mining Manufacturing. Their EPS is $2.02. Expected move is 4.62% when they release. On the economic front, as I said, the calendar is light, no major releases. Key events upcoming are the retail sales report tomorrow and the scheduled hearing for Kevin Walsh for Fed Chair is expected to begin. Okay, now we're moving on, and we're looking at some of the stocks moving the market today. We're starting off with Apple, ticker AAPL. You look at the stock this morning, and where was it? It's trading slightly lower. They haven't submitted any data in that antitrust case that they're undergoing in India, though. Then you're looking at Amazon, which is also trading lower this morning. But they got multiple price targets on the stock today. That's kind of interesting. Then you got Tesla. Their robo-taxi service is expanding to Dallas and Houston. Interesting. In terms of Dow Jones 30 stocks, Honeywell, news on Honeywell. Brady to acquire Honeywell's productivity solution service for $1.4 billion. Amazon, satellite carried by Blue Origin, was put into space incorrectly and needs to be pulled. Chevron, CVX, trading higher, as the U.S. seizes that Iranian cargo vessel, which is causing oil prices to spike, which is causing CVX to trade higher this morning. In terms of merger news, LLY, Eli Lilly is in the news as they're said to be acquiring Kelowna Therapeutics for more than $2 billion. Jazz Pharmaceuticals, JAZZ, they're going to be presented today at 5 p.m. at the 2026 Cancer Research Annual Meeting, something to keep an eye on. In terms of shareholders meeting, nothing really today, but tomorrow you get Domino's Pizza, DPZ, David Paul Zebra. They're going to be having their shareholders meeting. It starts tomorrow at 10 a.m. In terms of catalyst calls, Citibank, upticks ticker DOO on their upside catalyst watch, but they lowered the price target to 75. So DOO on an upside 90-day catalyst watch, according to Citi. Okay, now we're moving on to our pick of the day. I got to go with United Healthcare, UNH, Uncle Nancy Henry. What can I say? Earnings are tomorrow morning. EPS is $6.48, and the expected move is 6.07%. Yes, Friday's call volume, 110K on the call side, 40K on the put side. Open interest, 803K on the call side, 529K on the put side. Both are positive, and major brokers are raising price targets here. The thing is they got really weakened when Trump came out and he said that, in his budget, Medicare, premiums are going to, be capped at 1%, and then the Medicare guys came out and they said, no, it's going to be, 2.3% or whatever the number was, which, really causes that stock to turn around. So it's a little weak. It was, it did weaken. It's a weakening this morning. I mean, I'm really hoping to get in at, 322.5. That's kind of my entry price for UNH, 322.50. And I expect to see gains, this afternoon, when it gets closer to the earnings report. But, keep an eye on that one, UNH, Uncle Nancy Henry. Okay, let's move on. Let's talk about the stocks that are hitting the tape this morning. See if we see anything big. Apollo funds to invest $1.25 billion to acquire a 13% interest in McKesson's MMS business. Interesting. Raytheon RTX delivers first NGJ pods to Royal Australian Air Force. McCormick, MKC, the spice maker. Spices and condiments are displaying some positive trends, and they're expecting home cooking to increase. So they're placing a lot of emphasis on this. They're really going to be pushing out the benefits of their spices and condiments. They're putting a big bet there. Santa Fe SNY says its COVID-19 vaccine is showed better tolerability than Moderna's. Today's a day where companies can start asking for tariff money back. The Supreme Court is set today to weigh the authority of the SEC to recover profits made from illegal activities. How many people have had to pay, the SEC, and then they turn around and they just say, without admitting or denying guilt, as long as they get the money. Alphabet and Marvel, Google's in talks with Marvel to develop 2 new chips. Running its AI models more efficiently. Apple got some news on Friday saying, that import ban for the Apple watches, they can continue to import them, even though Massimo Ticker ASI tried to thwart the ban because they're using their technology. That's all I'm seeing this morning. Okay, now we're moving on to our pick of the day from Friday, which was Bank of Hawaii. Look at the numbers. Stock opened up 79.37, 79.37. Fell to 78.59, then it ran an high of 81.29. There's your 1%. And it closed out higher, too, at $80.11. So BOH was a winner. It made the 1% goal on Friday. You got to be appreciative of that, BOH. And that concludes today's podcast, traders. You guys know what to do. Let's go out there and let's make some green.